And then you can go ahead and put up the translation slide, and we'll have. I'll start. I'll do that.
Okay, so I am in the team now for translation.
Thank you.
Same here. I'm in.
Thanks, guys. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our next session, parent workshop. I want to go ahead and ask those doing interpretation to quickly read the interpretation announcement. Michelle, you can start in Mandarin.
OK，大家好，晚安，欢迎大家来参加我们今天晚上的研讨会。如果你需要中文翻译的话，请你打这个号码347-966-4114。那我会在这里面帮大家翻译。谢谢您。
Thank you very much. And Esther, in Spanish, please.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Esther. Si necesitan traducción en español, por favor de llamar a la línea de interpretación. Ahí los recibiré y marquen el número de teléfono al 347-966-4114. Entren el código 848-566-271 asterístico. Por favor, si necesitan traducción en español, por favor marquen el número en morado y por favor entren la clave con el asterístico. Ahí los esperaré. Gracias. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Forgot
Oh,
to
go ahead,
mention
Michelle.
about the number they have to type right after.
Oh,
the
so do it. Yeah,
number.
so do it again.
Yes.
Sorry, I do it again.
Yeah, so 中文的家长，如果你打了这个号码进来之后呢，请你要再加按这个代码751-060-735，然后再加井字号键，那你就可以进到中文的这个这间来，然后我会帮大家翻译，谢谢。
Thank you very much. I'm going to also continue to put the information in the chat throughout the evening as parents join in late. Before we begin, I'm going to turn over to Deputy Superintendent Umit Sarin to welcome everyone to the training.
Thank you, Louis. Welcome, parents. Good evening. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening. We are very excited to be hosting another training session around Acadience. I want to thank our team members who put together today's presentation. There is going to be a lot of learning happening today. As always, if you have any questions regarding Acadience and its implementation, feel free to connect with your child's school. And also you can always contact us with any questions and support. Thank you.
Thank you, parents, for joining us. I am Danielle Bergman. I am one of the district AIS coordinators. Welcome to our grade 2 beginning of the year Acadience session.
I'm going to introduce myself. My camera's off because I'm sharing my screen, but I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Arifa Khan. I'm also a district AIS coordinator, and Danielle and I are going to be talking and working with you guys today about Acadience for 2nd grade for the beginning of the year. So when we take a look at Acadience, we're going to be thinking about what is Acadience. So Acadience is a measurement of reading for our kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade students that are tested 3 times during the school year using Acadience reading. Our students have been using this for a few years now, so we want to make sure that you guys are aware of what is being asked and expected from your student. So if you have a student who is in 2nd grade now, they probably did it in 1st grade as well as in kindergarten. The assessment includes, and the purpose of the assessment is to monitor your child's development into reading, to identify students who need additional help, and guide the teachers in the classroom for instruction. It is not used to grade your child. We want to make sure that our students are reaching their literacy milestones as they're going through kindergarten, 1st grade, as well as 2nd grade. So it's not a grade that we're looking for students. We want to make sure that students are capturing and getting their literacy milestones as they're going through kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. So Acadience reading tests skills that are necessary for learning to read. Children who learn these skills become good readers. So the skills are phonemic awareness, which is where we're listening to sounds, we're listening to spoken words, we're hearing the different syllables in words. We're also making sure that they have their knowledge of phonics, and phonics is the sounds of letters and sounding out in written words. We want to make sure our students are accurate and fluent reading so that we're reading stories and other materials easily and quickly with few mistakes. And we're also taking a look to see their reading comprehension. Do they understand what they are reading? So the skills vary by grade and by the time of year. So we want to also keep in mind that these are some of the things that we are looking for when we're asking students to do some of these tasks. We also want to keep in mind that if any student is new to our school building in terms of new to the United States, new to English instruction, we have a window of 5 months where students are given that opportunity to engage in English in their classroom, practice English in their classroom. And within those 5 months, we do not do any of these assessments with them. We want to make sure that they have that equal time of getting immersed in the English language, hearing those sounds, hearing those words before we do any of these things. So those students who are new to the United States and new to English as their language of learning, we have them have a 5-month window of opportunity of them capturing and gathering a lot of that language in the 5 months of instruction while they are here. When we take a look at what is Acadience reading, we want to make sure that it helps us understand that each skill that they take is approximately 1 minute to administer, and it's a one-on-one with the teacher and the student. So each test is an indicator of how well a child is doing in their learning in a particular reading skill. And the scores tell us whether the child is likely to be on track for learning to read, or whether your child might need some help in learning to read and having some important skills to be a reader. So your child's teacher will use this information along with other class information to help better your child. So it helps us figure out where it is that they need support, if they need support, and what we can do to support them in that space. Some of the things that we have in our classroom in kindergarten, first grade, and in second grade is that we have 2 programs that we use in the classroom every day to help our students get that phonemic awareness, that phonics, that accuracy, the fluency, and the comprehension when they're coming into that space of learning how to read. So the 2 programs you see here are Haggerty, and we have Foundations. And all the skills that are tested in Acadience are from and are being implemented from Haggerty and within Foundations. You might have seen some of your students do some of the things within Haggerty at home. You might have seen them chopping out their hands, using their hands together to chop sounds out, listening to all parts of the word. You may see them changing the first sound, changing that last sound, so that they can understand and manipulate sounds and words in English. Same thing happening in Foundations. Foundations, you may see that at home as well. You may be seeing some of your students at home working on some activities related to phonics, related to scooping, where they're putting chunks of words together to help them become a fluent reader. You may see some of your students marking up words on papers to help them read words that are one syllable or multi-syllable words, so that we're going into that advanced phonics space with our students in second grade. So what is tested in second grade? So at the beginning of the year, which just finished at the end of October, October 25th, our students were engaged in nonsense word fluency and oral reading fluency. These 2 areas help us understand how are they doing with their phonics, how accurate and fluent are they in their reading, and how they are in terms of understanding what they're reading. The next time that they're going to be tested again is going to be considered the middle of the year. And that's between January 2nd and February 7th. And in that space, we're looking at them at their oral reading fluency accuracy, and we're looking to see how accurate and fluent they are in their reading, as well as their reading comprehension. And of course, at the end of the year, we're checking in again. We're looking to see how they're doing. At the end of the year, May 5th to June 13th, they're also going to be doing an oral reading fluency measurement. And we're checking again to see how well are they with their accuracy and their fluency in reading, as well as their reading comprehension. So what is nonsense word fluency? Why are we asking students to read nonsense words? So we're going to be talking about that. So nonsense words is a brief, direct measure of alphabetic principle and basic phonics. It assesses the knowledge of basic letter sound correspondences and the ability to blend letter sounds into consonant, vowel, consonant, and vowel consonant words. So here we are going to be seeing some words on your screen right now that are nonsense words. We want to ask students to read these nonsense words because we want to double check. We want to really make sure that they know their letter sound correspondence. If we give them words that they've already seen before, like cat, dog, They've seen those words before, and so we're not too sure if they know their letter sound correspondence. We want to give them words, nonsense words, to make sure that they know their letter sound correspondence so that they can start reading whole words. For instance, we see right here in the red, we have the letters B, E, and C. Our goal for our students is to say the word Beck, whole word. In second grade, the goal is that students are reading whole word and not saying each sound. If they are saying each sound, they are going to be segmenting, and then blend. So it would be B, E, K, Beck. But the goal of a reader at this point for second grade is that we're wanting our students to be a whole word reader. And having a nonsense word can help us understand if they know that one-to-one correspondence of their letter sounds. So why nonsense words? We are making sure we want them to be successful of applying their letter sound correspondence to blend sounds and decode unfamiliar words. Why not real words? A student might read real words as sight words without applying their knowledge and understanding of alphabetic principle and basic phonics. And we're only using vowel consonant and consonant vowel consonant to help us indicate of the basic phonics skills, as well as a good predictor of reading connected text. So this is what it looks like over here. So your student had received this paper when they were sitting with their teacher, and the goal was for them to read these as whole words, right? So if they were able to read this as a whole word, limb, they got 3 correct letter sounds, and they got 1 whole word read. If the student did sag, they got 3 correct letter sounds, but unfortunately they did not get a whole word read. When a student has to segment each sound independently and then put those sounds together to read the word, they did not read a whole word independently. They had to do something ahead of that so that they can read the whole word. So we want to make sure that our students are reading whole words, especially at the beginning of second grade, to make sure that they can start thinking about looking at words or parts of words as in chunks. Limb, sag, ugh. We want to make sure that they know their letter sound correspondence because we are going to be soon moving into advanced phonics with our students. And we want to make sure that they have our basic phonics. So again, we're looking towards having our students reading whole words to get 3 correct letter sounds and 1 whole word read. And if students are unable to do that, the next step is for them to say each sound and then blend them together. Our next measure that students engage in is called oral reading fluency. So oral reading fluency happens in first grade and in second grade. So oral reading fluency helps us figure out with your student, how are they in their accuracy and their fluency when they're reading a connected text. So we were looking also to see how their advanced phonics and word attack skills are happening. So oral reading fluency has 2 parts. They have to read the passage, and we get some information when they are reading that passage. It breaks down that information really clearly so that we can see where we can support our students. So what is oral reading fluency? So oral reading fluency is helping us understand our students a little bit better, and it helps us understand the ability for them to read words accurately, effortlessly, and with the appropriate phrasing and expression when reading orally. Reading accurately without too many mistakes, at a reasonable rate, and with expression. So we are looking to see are the students being a fluent reader when they're reading their text. We want to make sure that they are using their skills of phonics and their word attack skills. Oral reading fluency helps us understand how well, and it's connected with how well students are having their comprehension. Fluent readers generally comprehend better than non-fluent readers. And students with good language comprehension generally read more fluently than students with poor language comprehension. So this is what one of the passages looks like when a student is reading it. So the teacher will give the student this piece of paper, this text, and the student will have to read as many words as they can within 1 minute. And within the 1 minute, we can determine how accurate, how fluent, how are they able to comprehend that story. So within reading that story, they have to also tell us what the story was about. They have to give us a retell. And the ability to retell about one has reading and writing, and it helps us understand what they understood from that reading passage. Because it's not only just reading the story and reading the words, it's also, do you understand what you just read? And many times some of our students are focused on reading the text and making sure that they are saying the words correctly. And sometimes they don't put an emphasis on remembering what they just read. And we want to make sure that those two things are happening together, that they're reading the words and then they're understanding the words that they're reading. So the retell helps us understand, were they paying attention when they were reading the text? So the skills that are happening with the oral reading fluency are broken down into these three categories. They're reading fluency. It helps us understand, are they being accurate? Are they reading at a normal speed and speech? Are they putting expression and punctuation? Are they reading the question mark with their voice going up and down? Are they reading with an exclamation point where they're reading super excited? That's part of having expression while they're reading. We're also going to be taking a look to see their demonstration of prediction of looking ahead. Can you figure out what's going to happen next? And adjust pacing according based on the text difficulty. Also, when they're looking at the oral reading fluency passage, we're looking to see how are they using their knowledge of advanced phonics. In second grade, they are learning a lot of advanced phonics skills. All these advanced phonics skills are built upon what they've learned in kindergarten, what they've learned in first grade. So now they're using all those things, all that background knowledge from kindergarten and in first grade, as well as all of the new learning that's happening in second grade, to apply it here in this space of advanced phonics. Advanced phonics also includes reading vowel diagrams, identify and pronounce sounds of short and long vowels, which is going to be a new space for a lot of our students in second grade. They're going to be reading R-control vowels in words with more than one syllable. And they're going to be decoding words with common word parts, prefixes, suffixes, and root words. And we're going to be able to decode grade level multisyllabic words. So there is a huge jump between first grade and second grade in terms of the amount of phonics and the depth of phonics that's being learned and taught in second grade. So we are going much deeper than we did in first grade and doing a lot of advanced things with our students in the language, in the code of language of English. And we want to make sure they're being as successful as possible and doing so. And lastly, within the oral reading fluency passage, we also are checking in with them. Are they able to comprehend? Do they know what they just read? They may have read the words correctly, but we want to make sure, do you know what just happened in that story? So we want to ask them to tell us what happened in that story. So can they answer questions that are where the answers are in the story and when the answer is not in the story? Can you tell us what the main idea of the story, what is the story all about? Can you summarize this passage that you just read? Can you tell us everything you can from this narrative passage? Can you give us a sequence of events? So all these things are coming into play into our assessment with Acadience reading for our second grade students. And we want to make sure that our students are meeting these milestones in literacy throughout their time in kindergarten, throughout their time in first grade, and of course, throughout their time in second grade. We want to make sure our students are capturing and getting that code of language and able to break the code of language in English so that they can read these advanced phonics words, and as well as understanding what they're reading, as well as on being a fluent reader while they're reading.
Thank you, Arifa. So I'm going to go through now how the students are scored on the Acadience reading measures. Like Arifa said, in second grade in the beginning of the year, they are assessed on two skills, the nonsense word fluency and the oral reading fluency. Every student will then get a reading composite score. The reading composite score combines all of the results, meaning they will combine the nonsense word fluency with the oral reading fluency and the retell, and will combine those to get one overall score that gives us an estimate of how your child is reading right now. The score will let us know if your child is at grade level benchmark, above the benchmark, below the benchmark, or well below the benchmark. Students who score above and at benchmark likely will continue to make progress while getting their classroom instruction and will likely not need much additional support beyond their classroom instruction. Students who score below benchmark, meaning below grade level expectation, are likely to need more strategic support, which means the teacher will be working with them in a small group on certain skills that they are lacking in order to help build that foundation. Students who score well below the benchmark are likely to need even more frequent support, which may include additional teacher outside of just the classroom teacher, and may also include a different curriculum program than just what we're using in the classrooms with Hegarty and Foundations. Sometimes they might need some more intensive support. But the benchmark status tells us as the teacher if your child is on track for becoming a proficient reader for this time of the year. Acadience has parent reports at the end of every testing window. If you have not seen an Acadience parent report yet, you should expect to be getting one soon. A parent report will include a graph for every skill your child was assessed in. So if your child was assessed in the beginning of the year on the nonsense word fluency and on the ORF, you'll have two graphs, one for nonsense word fluency and one for ORF. On your screen right now is just one example of a graph, and this one is for the ORF reading fluency. On the graph, the solid line indicates the benchmark. This is where we expect students to be at this time of the year. The circle is where the child is performing currently, how they scored currently. This parent report, the graph has 3 entries. This is how it would look at the end of the year. Right now, when you get your parent report, there will only be one line and there will be the circle because they've only been tested once this year. If the circle is above the solid line, your child is performing above benchmark. If the circle is below the solid line, that means your child is scoring below benchmark at this time. And then you can have that conversation with the teacher to see what is being done to support your child moving forward. And then in the middle of the year, you'll have the graph will show both solid lines and both circles to see if your child has made progress from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. On the next page of the parent report will be the information. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. Next, the reading composite score. Again, this report has 3 reading composite scores because it is showing the beginning of the year and the middle of the year and the end of the year. Your current parent report will only have 1 reading composite score to indicate how the child scored overall on the beginning of the year assessment. This will tell you how far above or below your child is in that number form above what the benchmark is. So your parent report will contain 2 graphs, one for nonsense word fluency and one for ORF, and it will also have a place where the child's reading composite score will be noted. So let's talk about how you can help your child at home. Things that you can do are practicing the sound chart for automaticity. And we will show you a sound chart that is aligned to foundations that your child is using in the class every day. It is also highly recommended that you set a daily reading routine with your child. During the daily reading routine, sometimes you are reading to your child to model fluent reading. Sometimes your child is reading aloud to you. Sometimes you may read and have them echo what you are reading. And other times they are just reading on their own and you are listening and guiding them as needed to help them if they struggle and to ask some questions to make sure they're understanding what they're reading. Another recommendation is to practice sight words. A good way to do that is to use index cards. I'm sure you've seen words being sent home with your child from foundations. They call the sight words trick words. The trick words or the sight words are words that cannot be sounded out because they do not follow traditional phonics rules. They are irregular in pattern. So students need to look at them, and the more they see them, the more they will get to be able to read them automatically. So on this slide here, we have put 2 of the reference materials from the Foundations curriculum. And the next slide, we have 2 more. With these you'll see they're underlined in blue with the title where they say basic keywords within Foundations, welded or glued sounds drill. When you click on that blue, it's going to link to a YouTube video, and the video is going to give you the drill of the sounds so that you make sure that when you are reading with your child at home, you are doing it in the same way that they are doing it in the classroom. So for example, when they get a word that has A-L-L, they are not being taught to say a-u-u. They're being taught that it's 3 letters that are glued together and it says all. So we're going to show you just a few seconds, a snippet of that video to show you an example of what it looks like so you can see how helpful this would be for you to have your child doing at home.
And on weekends, look. Foundations, glued sounds. A-L-L, ball, all. U-N-K, junk, unk. U-N-G, lung, ung. O-N-K, honk, onk.
Thank you. So you see, this gives you insight into how your child is learning at home. How they are learning in school so that you can help support them at home. The same exact images, the same exact keywords, and the same exact sounds that you see in the videos are what they're using in the classroom. So we have 2 different videos here. First, the basic alphabet from A to Z, and then digraphs. Then the welded and glued sounds that we just showed you a snippet of. Then on the next slide, you'll see 2 more. The vowel sounds drill that goes through short and long vowels, and then the vowel teams. And you'll know when your child is learning which skills, hopefully by the Foundations home letter that is sent home at the beginning of every Foundations unit, so you know which you should be practicing at home with them. Other reference materials that we have noted here for you, you'll see on this page, are all images from the Foundations home support letters that I just mentioned. Before every unit of Foundations begins, a letter comes home to let you, as the parent or the guardian, know what will my child be learning in this unit. It will give you the important information about the sounds or the phonics skills and patterns that will be focused on. It will give some homework suggestions that you can do for extra help at home. And they will also include whatever the sight words or what they call trick words are for that current unit. This unit, Unit 3, that we snipped here, is only a 1-week unit. There were only 3 trick words. You see them up on the right-hand side there. Done, goes, pretty. In a 2 or 3-week unit, there will be more words because there are normally 3 to 4 words each week. some other phonics activities that can be done. I'm just noting that some of our pictures didn't pop up. I'm not sure why.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's you're fine. Thank you. Some other phonics activities that you can do at home include a phonics scavenger hunt. Look in books, in different magazines, even in store flyers. If your child is learning about vowel teams EE and EA in school, have them search through books and magazines and find words that have that pattern and see if they can read them. Another thing that we can do is to work with magnetic letters or paper letter tiles and use those to build letters. If they can build and read the word jet, and then they change the J to a B, what's the new word? Change the B to an M, what's a new word, right? Change et to at, continue like that. Build words that and ask them, is this a real word or a nonsense word? Because remember, if we want to know if a child has mastery of these phonics skills, they should be able to apply them to any words. Other things that we can do at home in order to support our students' oral reading fluency is number one, read, read, read. Read as much as we can. Build that reading routine. Build to your child, have your child read to you, expose them to all different kinds of reading materials. Fiction stories, information books, magazines. Sometimes there will be passages sent from home. As much exposure to reading material as possible. The other thing that we mentioned were sight words. I'm sure some of you have a pack of sight word cards similar to what you see on this screen at home already, because they are very popular with the younger students who are learning how to read words because they get excited that they can read these words, right? The more exposure they have to the words, the better their understanding of the words is. If you don't have something like this that is store-bought, you can make your own using the words that are being sent home from your teacher. And if you make 2 index cards for every word, and then you flip them over, mix them around, you've created a matching game. Have your child turn a card over and make them read the word and then try to find its match. The key word there is that when they see the word, that they are able to read the word. Very easy for us to do at home. And if that's something you would like to do at home, you can ask your child's teacher for a suggestion of words that you can use to do that. Another suggestion is labeling your home. Making a print-rich environment at home the way it is in school, having your child be able to notice the printed words for things that they know, even longer words, refrigerator, television, cabinet, but labeling your home and having them read those words is also going to help with their fluency when they see those words in printed books. And lastly, we talk about building fluency with decodable texts. I hope that by now, this time of the year, you have seen texts that look like this come home with your child. Many of our teachers are using these black and white books called blended books from HMH. And Foundations has these storytime passages. Both are decodable, meaning that all of the words, or at least a majority of the words in the text, are words that have the phonics patterns that children have already learned, which means they would be able to decode them. They also have sight words, or what we call trick words, that have already been learned so that they can read them. Decodable text does not encourage guessing or using picture clues. Decodable text is intentionally chosen based on the phonics pattern so that children can read them. Repeated readings is one of the best ways to build our students' reading fluency. So it is okay if you are getting these black and white passages or books coming home and you're only getting one maybe for a whole week, and that's okay. That's intentional. We want the children to read and read and read them over and over again to build their fluency. The last thing we want to leave you with is to let you know that, like we said in the beginning of the session, your child will be tested again in the middle of the year on their oral reading fluency. They will be tested between the middle of January and early February. Our next session, Arifa and I will be going over the oral reading fluency again, talking about the difference in the expectations of the benchmarks from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, and talk a little bit more in depth of how you can continue to support your child at home, especially if they're not meeting that benchmark. So that session is on Wednesday, February 12th. And I just wanted you to know that this is a 3-part session. We'll be doing another session in June after the end of the year assessment. And each session will be a little bit different than the one before it. So we hope that you found this helpful and informative so that you will join us again for session 2.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm not sure if anyone was getting interpretation. If there's any questions in those rooms, please let us know. There's
have any
no
questions in chat?
questions in the chat. Does
No.
anyone on the call want to unmute themselves and ask questions? You can go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand and we'll ask you to unmute, but everyone should be able to unmute if there's any questions. Okay.
I know that was a lot of information. I hope that you did find it informative. Please look out for that parent report to be coming home. If you do not receive a parent report, please reach out to your child's teacher and request one.
And I will just remind everyone that all of these sessions are being recorded and will be posted on the district website and on our YouTube channel. So
And
if
access to those
anyone,
slides, right?
yeah, so if anyone needs to, if you want to share this with another parent that maybe wasn't able to join live, all that is available online along with the presentation slides that we're sharing.
And I put the presentation slides in the chat
You did?
again, just
Perfect.
for easy access. You will want to pull that up and save it so that you can access those videos that we showed you and for the suggestions of home activities.
Perfect.
Thank you for spending some time with us this evening.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being active participants in your child's learning and literacy within 2nd grade. And we'll hopefully see you guys in February.
Thank you, parents.
Yes,
thank
you
you
can
very much
register
for
for
joining
February
us.
now.
And thank you very much, our wonderful team members, for putting this together for our parents. As always, please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Night.